We are here to bring you everything and anything surrounding Porsche. I'm Mike.
I'm Aaron.
And this is Pcar Talk.
Guys, hey, before the show starts, wanted to remind you guys, Aaron and I have put together a club drive that is coming out. It will be in April. Dates are going to be announced to club members, so you need to be a club member to join, correct? With that, how do they do that?
Go to pcartalk.com, and then you'll look under the club, and you'll see that there's a drop-down menu, and then it says the annual club drive.
Awesome. In order to go on the club job, you need to become a member. How do you become a member? Go to pcartalk.com. We have memberships starting as little as $60 a year. However, we do recommend you get the highest level, the RS membership, which is like $160 a year. With those, you can read on the website. We won't bore you with that, but we have been told that we need to go ahead and describe that to everybody, that's annual, not per month. In addition to that, there's also a giveaway every month with your membership that's sponsored, and we've given away some amazing things, right?
Stuff,
like a model that was like $600 that was supplied by Suncoast, and deck lids that are supplied by people that are making customized things, and then we're giving away valve covers that are made for keychain. I'm telling you, if you win one of these things, and you even have a base one, and it's random, so people, you've basically paid for your membership for 2 years or 3 years or 4 years or 5 years or however you do the math. So there's a lot to be given away. I know there's probably people saying out there like, oh my God, whatever, what do I get with it? Well, you get a crap ton. So needless to say, and also there's a drive that you're going to be able to go on as well.
That's the big part.
Yeah, it's a big one. It's a big driving event, but you need to pay for it to go on drive. Obviously, your membership doesn't pay for that, but it gets you the code to get onto the website to sign up. And once you become a club member, the password goes out to you, and then you can sign up for the drive. So make sure that you go ahead and sign up, because it's only going to be open for roughly 2 months, and then we're closing the door on it because we need to make sure that we have everything accommodated for the people that have signed up, correct?
Correct.
So without further ado, enjoy the rest of the show. Welcome to another episode of Pcar Talk. I'm Mike.
And I'm Aaron.
So this episode is going to be a little bit different because we're back from Daytona, but we do have a special guest on, Charles Hamm. He is a performance engineer for the factory team of Porsche. Congratulations to them. They did podium P2 and P3.
Yeah.
So if you've been living under a rock, you can rewatch that race. We come back from that. We're fresh about that. I mean, I wouldn't call us fresh. We're pretty beat down.
No.
We've been up in the Jacksonville, Daytona area we were up there for 5 days?
Yeah.
Because we were at the Brumos collection.
5 days. Yeah.
And all those episodes will be coming out as well. The Brumos collection did open their doors to a very selective group of folks. A lot of Porsche execs were in town. We were fortunate enough to sneak our way in there. And Brandon Starks, the executive director, spent some time with us. So that episode will be coming out shortly, so stay tuned. But that's obviously not this week, but that is moving forward. So this episode, obviously, the second half will be Charles Hamm talking about a little bit of what he can share from a strategic standpoint without sharing too much, obviously, because the season just kicked off and they're running a new RSR car. But a little bit of background about him as well he'll share, and how he kind of got into Porsche itself, how he became the engineer and doing what he's doing. I don't want to spoil too much. I just want to kind of give you a macro view of what's happening there on the second half of the show. But so this first half is we'll go over kind of our macro view of what we saw at Daytona, what we enjoyed, and let's go ahead and get started.
Let's do it.
So obviously the weather was fantastic, which is
amazing.
Not normal.
A drop of rain.
Yeah, which is not normal for Daytona. A lot of you listeners across wherever you're at, you assume probably Daytona is always beautiful. But this time of the year, the weather's really sketch because the Gulf Stream, the way it comes across the state. So if there's a storm front or anything like that north of us, usually brings in rain, wind, whatever. And that's been the case for several years in Daytona. Being 4 days itself with testing and qualifying and the actual 24-hour race, there's a lot of inclement weather that comes in. And being a spectator, obviously you're outdoors, so you're enduring that as well.
Yep.
So we were very fortunate this year that we did not have to endure that. It was, Saturday, beautiful, 68 degrees, clear skies. It did get a little chilly that evening, but I'd rather...
were a little chilly.
We had a campfire obviously going by the track, which is a great view, obviously, that people that have never been there, we're by the horseshoe area. And I highly encourage you guys, if it's a bucket list and you haven't been to a race, that's a great one to go to. They have a lot of good viewing areas at that particular track. and it's a great race to be at. And you kind of missed a good one because the weather was really nice. So
Yeah, don't know if that's happening.
yeah,
again.
so it's a total crapshoot, and that's how finicky the weather is sometimes in Florida. And this, even though it's wintertime in Florida as well. And regardless of what people say, being outside at 43 degrees when you're used to it being in the 80s is pretty
a little
chilly.
bit of wind, yeah.
So, what are some highlights? What were some of the big takeaways that you can remember that you kind of struck you, and some of the cool things that you saw in regards to Daytona? Because it was your first time, so you could tell the listeners what were some of your initial reactions. What were your expectations? What did you see, and what exceeded what was happening with you?
Well, it was just as packed as I imagined it'd be. Like, if you didn't get there early for your camping spot, and I felt like we got there decently early, and some people show up even earlier than we did, like on the Wednesday early in the morning. I know some of our guys.
Yeah, that's a real thing. The diehards want their spot
super early to get your spots. So it's pretty packed. Since we've been there for HSR, I had my ways about me as far as where everything was laid out, but still, there was just a lot more people around. Some of the highlights, I guess, getting to see the cars for the first time. I haven't got to see the RSR cars, and really getting to look at them up close, walk around them, hear them.
Yeah,
they're a lot louder than everything. That was one thing I didn't like. Watching them was kind of, if you didn't have hearing protection, it made it a little interesting.
But it was nice how close you could get in the paddock, correct?
Yeah, it was.
As far as, a lot of the people didn't want, to be up close or whatever, but you could get as close as almost as wanted, along the stanchion line, I guess.
And then one cool thing that I don't know if everybody does it, but I noticed Porsche has it. The way they have their stanchions is it's kind of a little further out from the paddock. So when they push the cars out and fire them up. And so you get a little bit even closer than you would of just looking at them in the garage.
Yeah, correct. I agree with that.
The Ferris wheel was always cool to see.
Yeah.
Fireworks were actually pretty good.
Yeah. They did a good fireworks display.
It was fun meeting so many people. I mean, I knew I expected to meet people, but I think it was on almost a different level.
Yeah.
Just everybody you would run into, just kind of hanging out, doing what you're doing, like watching the race and
exactly
having a good time.
Yeah, it was pretty fun. And on that topic, thank you for everybody who does listen and that came up to us and gave us a handshake or hey, we listen, we like your show. We definitely always appreciate that. Positive encouragement is always welcomed.
Yeah, even some of our friends who just would randomly see people wearing our shirts and
yeah,
hey, Pcar dog, yeah.
Yeah, and it's a really humbling experience, and I can't say thank you enough to everybody that is listening and is an avid listener. We really do appreciate it that you guys take the time out of your schedule to sit down and spend some time with us and hear what we're saying and what we're reporting on. It really does mean a ton. Thank you guys so much, and I can't say that enough. I think some of the interesting things that I saw, even though I've been to the race several times, and it kind of struck me as a chord that Mercedes didn't have a booth there. Mm-hmm. And what I mean, a booth there for everybody listening at home, like usually there's a big display area for the spectators, for the manufacturers that are going to be at the show, meaning, as you can imagine, maybe a new car display or whatever, that if you can wrap your brain around
something
that.
to brag about, pretty much.
Exactly. Hey, we've got the new whatever, fill in the blank. Mercedes had a huge display last year. They had G-Wagons going over like a rock hill climb thing, and they had an indoor display where they were displaying tons and tons of cars. No display at all this year. Yeah. Obviously, Ford isn't racing anymore, so no Ford display. So that's out.
Yeah.
Audi had zero display. And then Porsche themselves called upon Suncoast Porsche Parts to basically sell Porsche merch and display a booth. Great opportunity for them.
Yeah, it was.
And I think they killed it as far as the merch games go. Yeah. And fortunately for me and a couple other folks, they called upon us to bring our cars over and display. So, I had a good spot there.
We'd probably say the best display they've ever had.
Yeah, the 964 and the I mean, Wes's car from Swine 11, his 993 is second to none. Yeah. And the RS bits that he has and the touches, and I think the two cars complement each other really well because they're in succession with generations, so it's 964 and then 993, and they're totally different as far as their setup, but they have the same kind of underlying theme.
It's very motorsporty.
With RS bits. I have the Maritime cage, he has a Ruby Star cage. It's those kind of little bits that are in those cars. it was very neat. And also, like we talked about before, Suncoast Porsche Parts had the last remaining bit of Coca-Cola paraphernalia selling.
Porsche had, yeah.
And we kind of, because it was on your way to the Porsche Corral and on our way to the campsite and back to the other paddock side of the track. So we passed it a lot, meaning Suncoast booth. And seemed like all the stuff they had was flying off the shelves. So
yeah, it was going quick. Yeah, they might have had a couple things left over, but I can't imagine.
Yeah,
much.
I think they did pretty well. So kudos to them for that, and kudos for them getting the opportunity from Big Brother at Porsche themselves, calling upon them to do it, to represent Porsche as a whole. But piggybacking on all these things that were lacking, from my personal perspective in regarding to the race itself, being such a big race and a Super Bowl style kickoff race for the year, that's a big race for IMSA. I'm just kind of turned on the reason why all those manufacturers didn't show up. It's kind of shocking why they didn't have a display there. Almost kind of a show of force. It's almost like they didn't care to spend the money to do it. It's
almost like they're not supporting the racing arm because they're going green, going electric.
Yeah, and you and I talked a little bit about that offline, your theory behind that. You know, if do you care to share that a little bit?
Well, I just think with everybody, especially, Ford's doing that whole new whatever their SUV thing is, and Mercedes and everybody else's focus for their 2023, 25 full EVs, that maybe they just don't want to. They're kind of just that directions is so forceful that they're not even entertaining anything that's this style of racing. I mean, maybe when it comes back to it's the Formula E series in the U.S. and they can show something off.
You think that was maybe a gentleman's thing that the VAG group kind of did together and was like, look, here's the deal.
Yeah, they're kind of like, are you going? Oh,
we're
I'm
pumping
not going.
these electric cars, so we're not doing this thing.
Exactly. They all called each other, you going? I'm not going. You going? No, I'm not going.
You're like, nah, man, I'm tired of that.
I'm out of here.
Place dead anyways.
It's going to rain.
This place dead anyways.
So,
no, I thought that was a little shocking, and being a fan of cars in general, obviously, I was thankful at least that Porsche did it. They could have bailed all the way together, so I don't want to sound ungrateful for that.
Yeah, I mean,
they at least allowed Suncoast to represent them. They could have just pulled out, like those other ones didn't have anything at all. No one was representing them, not even a local dealer. So they just decided, nope, we're not doing anything with that. So I just found that a little shocking. That was one of my takeaways. Obviously enjoyed the race, enjoyed running into everybody that we ran into. I'll run through the list real fast, and it's always good to see these folks and see them always, participating in races. Ray Schaefer,
stable.
Yeah, he ran the 24 minutes prior to the race in a historic car.
Yeah, the Puerto Rico car.
Mm-hmm. Jen from PEC LA was there, running in one of Kevin Jeanette's cars, the Low and Brown 944.
Yeah, cool.
Hung out with Kevin Jeanette himself. Got a little bit better relationship, so I think we're going to have a show sometime in the future with Kevin, if not actually a mini-series, because Kevin has a lot of stories.
He does and talk.
We're actually really excited to bring you those stories because they're really, really juicy, good stories, and back when racing was racing and it was kind of like the Wild West, so Kevin came up in that generation, and I think it's going to be some entertaining stuff when he comes on the show.
I was almost crying, laughing so hard.
Yeah, it was really good shit when he was talking about that stuff, so it was really, really funny. Always good to see Jeff Swart. Spent some time with him, talked with him a little bit about some stuff and upcoming things, and fortunate to always see these guys and spend times with these folks, and obviously the whole entire Jacksonville Brumos crew, those guys that we spent time with, Perbanik and all those guys that we got to hang out with. Always thankful to spend time with them, very close friends of us, and it was just an overall good weekend. I mean, obviously, I'm sure you guys can tell that are listening, my voice is a little hoarse because I was losing it on Sunday. I sounded awful, didn't I?
Yeah, he sounded a lot like me.
So I was like, all right, so we have two Aarons on the show now. But in all seriousness, it was a great race. I'm thankful to be there. Again, congratulations to Porsche taking second and third. So obviously not ideal. Always want to win, but it's a great start to the year, as Aaron indicated last year. Same positioning.
It was a little different. I looked at it again.
Oh, okay.
So they actually did P3, P5 last year.
Okay.
So we're a lot better.
So actually better shape to win the manufacturer championship still. Great points on that. As you'll hear, obviously Charles come on later. It's a long season, but you always want to start off correctly. And kudos to those guys for that. So overall, it was a great weekend. We're looking forward to that. So upcoming, obviously, you're listening to this. The following week will be in DRT.
Oh, yeah, Miami.
If you guys have been paying attention, if you haven't been paying attention and we're just background noise, I'm sorry for you. But DRT, Das Renntreffen, that's going to be in Miami.
Yep.
It's a 4-day event, but really it's longer than that because it kind of starts on a Wednesday because there's like a book signing, and we'll be attending that with Bart Cookins and having him on the podcast, the black and white photographer, Flat Six Love Affair. Yep. So he has a lot of Porsche history, as Aaron has done some research. He's owned over 27 Porsches, like something crazy, 911s. So it should be a great talk, and he's a super big enthusiast. He's from Antwerp, Belgium.
Yep.
So that'll be a great one. And I've been following Bart for a long time. I have all of his books ever since the beginning, and he does phenomenal work. And I'm excited to have that conversation with him. Always good to have an artist and a car enthusiast on the show as well to kind of get their perspective and their eye on things. And we have a lot of other guests. I don't want to spoil that. And obviously we'll be on track. They're doing a track day. They have the event, the Cars and Coffee thing, all the stuff we kind of went over. So we're doing all that next week. So we basically have a little bit of downtime, which is not really downtime because we're still working behind the scenes and still driving cars and we're still doing stuff. So, and you will see, obviously, we're going to finally get ourselves into the Taycan, not as passengers, but spend some serious time with it, driving it around town.
Yeah.
And see what we really think because, obviously we're motorsport enthusiasts, but we'll tell you the real deal, what we really think about it. And honestly, as a passenger, it's a very impressive car.
It is.
It's super fast. It does everything that you would imagine to do it. But unfortunately, I'm just not in that demographic with the income level to be able to purchase something like that.
Oh, speaking just on that topic, and I didn't do a ton of research into it, so it's just kind of a little skimming. They were actually seeing higher mileage numbers out of the turbos. Mm-hmm. Did you see that?
Yeah, I did see that. It's interesting. But either way, so that's exciting stuff that's coming up. So you guys are going to get to hear firsthand all those things about us in those cars, what we're doing, and how that trickles down to you guys. And then maybe all of you guys kind of like us that maybe not get into the car, but at least you'll get our firsthand real experience instead of something that's been given to somebody as far as, all right, you need to go ahead and make sure that you write a good article on this because you will never get another vehicle again.
Exactly. Nice stuff only. Thank you.
Exactly. Because we're not on that list yet. Hopefully someday we will be, where we're getting press cars. We're still trying to work our way to make that happen. Yep. But unfortunately, we have not kissed enough rings or something like that yet to make that happen. So here we are. But Porsche news. Obviously, talking about Taycan, let's segue into that a little bit. Porsche is spending big money, obviously, which is no secret, around marketing for this thing all the way around. New development with that. Obviously, they're going to spend money on a Super Bowl ad for the Taycan.
They've already released, which is kind of weird.
Which is pre-released already, but who knows? Maybe they're just trying to double dip, trying to get as much traction.
The rest of the world hasn't seen it. So
yeah, trying to get much traction on it. The Porsche faithful have seen it, and that's actually a good point. The rest of the world, they don't even know what that car is because, you have people that are Starbucks in it every day, going through their 9 to 5s, wash, rinse, repeat.
They're just like, oh, there's something else besides Tesla.
Droned through their lives, basically, pick the kids up, do this. Okay, I hate my job. Get up, do it again. Ugh, it's 20 years up. Can I retire yet? Oh, wow, Super Bowl commercial. What's that thing? Oh, looks like a space shuttle. Okay, whoa, Porsche making an electric car. So you just got the 5-minute version of somebody's 30-year life. But anyways, they're spending big bucks because they're going to have a Super Bowl ad. Interesting thing about this, you can go on YouTube and watch the ad now.
Man, we just did this.
Mm-hmm. And it's all over. It's not new news, but if you haven't been listening and you're not paying attention to social media, there's kind of been an Easter egg in there, and that's what Porsche likes to do with a lot of stuff. The Easter egg that everybody's anticipating in there is the new GT3 is in there. It's hiding in the background on the rack. I think somebody's already got it dialed into the seconds too. So if you watch the YouTube video, I think at second 40, you can see the blue GT3 on the back, and that's apparently what the car's supposed to look like. That's coming out, the new one, the 2021. So interesting enough, I just thought that bring that up because it's kind of clever of Porsche to kind of leak that.
Super well. I mean, you know what it is, but you don't.
Yeah, it's a little blurry it's almost like on purpose. It's almost kind of looks like it's the lighting, a soft lighting on purpose to kind of, but it's there. So they didn't have to put that in to begin with. Same thing when they leaked like 992 stuff. Remember, they were putting stuff in dashes and all that. I think it's kind of neat for people to kind of see that and go on with that and run it. That just shows you how enthusiastic people are about the brand, that they're able to pick out all those things and how much of a pulse they have on what's happening. So I think that's pretty wild.
It's cool on Porsche for doing it too, and knowing that people are looking for stuff.
Oh, 100%. I totally agree with that. So another interesting thing that maybe some people do know or people don't know, there was a gentleman named Scott Tucker. And we won't get too far into it, because there's a huge, I guess it was at Netflix, like Dirty Money story on him. Anyways, he was doing payday loans for businesses, and then he was charging astronomical interest on it, where people couldn't pay him back. Long story short, he was making millions and millions of dollars, I guess, essentially. And so he liked to race. So he had a race team. He was racing all these different kinds of cars. He got indicted by the federal government. This was a few years ago. But they're continuing to seize cars, his personal cars that he's owned. And then 4 of them that are coming up for auction pretty soon. The most notable couple, I mean, there's 4 of them. There's a GT2 RS 2011 that's coming up for sale.
Nice.
And then there's a 2005 Carrera GT.
Also very nice.
So he had good taste, right? I mean, can't beat him up for...
No, they're all black. Or is that just stock photos?
Excuse me.
Mike Stein.
I still have a bug.
And not the Volkswagen.
No. But, excuse me, sorry. I have a lozenger in too because my throat is just awful right now. I think they might be just stock photos.
Okay, yeah, it looks like that from here. I'm looking upside down on Mike's phone, so yeah.
So needless to say, they're thinking maybe the GT2 RS, the reason I bring it up before I was dying.
Big
Sorry.
money.
Thinking it's going to bring $500,000.
Oh.
That's big dollars.
Yeah, it is. What auction? Or they don't know.
It's a federal auction because
it's federal.
Yeah, because they're seized cars. So it's a federal auction.
Well, they're all about that money.
Oh yeah, they're going to get paid. But I mean that. Apparently, I'm not trying to.
Not gonna pick it up for like $5,000 like a Hummer.
Yeah, no. I'm not trying to get in the weeds with this because it's a very, very long story. And ethics are involved, and we try not to get into that stuff. So the legalities of what he did or he didn't do or was accused of and what he got convicted of, there's ethics behind it, whether it was ethical or it was actually illegal, which if you're listening, those are 2 different things. I'm not trying to get, like I said, I'm not trying to get involved as far as the depths of that.
Obviously, he did something wrong because he wouldn't have charges against him. So there was something that he crossed the line from where it was.
Yeah, I guess, I mean, the way you could look at it is he deliberately defrauded a lot of people that were in a position where they were easily to take advantage of. Yeah. However, that becomes an ethical thing because you're an adult, if you're able to make decisions, whatever. But anyways, the point of this is this guy had gazillion dollars. He made a gazillion dollars, and this is just a little chunk of it. The $2 million is nothing close to what he was alleged to defraud people for. But anyways, I just thought it was an interesting thing that in his collection, he liked to race Lamborghinis. He liked to race Ferraris. He had a couple Porsches in there as well. I thought that was pretty neat. So,
it's a well-rounded collection. Should have, so.
Yeah, or it just shows that he just had so much money to do whatever he wanted to do with that was happening. So I just thought that was neat. In addition to that, a couple other things, obviously. What is that? Anyways, back to the membership that we're talking about. The drive is happening.
Oh, foreign.
Yeah, why don't you talk about that a little bit?
So we're doing a drive in the mountains. And if you're part of the club, you should have already seen the email for the links and everything. It has a password in it. And if you just join the club, you'll get it right after. And for the people that have already signed up, I just sent an email yesterday for more details, like where we're staying, all those type of things. And then we're going to follow that up with another one as it gets closer with where we're driving, that type of thing, how we're communicating, all that stuff.
Okay. And what are the dates on that?
So the dates are going to be the 16th through the 19th.
You heard him. And obviously trying to be kind of selective of where the location is. If you're a listener and you're not a club member, we don't want to spread like wildfire because we're only opening it to 50 cars.
And it's less than that now because...
Yeah, we've already had people, people that are, like Aaron said, prior members that are already wanting to go on the drive have already signed up. So, again, we're not trying to push people to do this. It's just kind of something fun that people suggested that they'd like to do.
Yep.
So this is going to become an annual thing. So this is the first time we're doing it. While we're there as well, we're also reached out to a couple of sponsors that we're going to have giveaways for people that are actually on the trip. So these giveaways will not be for the entire membership. They will just be for the people who went on the drive. Unlike our monthly membership giveaways, that is for all members. But yeah, you have to be present on the drive to be able to get these giveaways, and they're going to be a little special. So we're digging in, and we're going to try a couple of things. I don't want to disclose too much of it as we speak, but it's going to be 2 days of driving essentially. We've got some restaurants picked out that we're going to have some good times with, and have a dinner, and basically a good group gathering. A camaraderie type thing. Bring some of the members in together so you can kind of meet each other face to face. And like we've talked about from the very beginning, what we've been trying to do on a global scale, we're trying to bring in a membership, and there's a big group, a significant group of people that are wanting to do something different, and that feel like we're doing that from a group staying, like a club membership type of staying.
Versus a static display. We're trying to get out there and meet people and really drive with you and do that type of thing.
Yeah, and it's not where it's hoity-toity or super stuffy, so it's kind of bring what you have, as part of the club. It's not going to be blazers and hoity-toity dinners. It's going to be super chill because a lot of our listeners and members have to dress up for work. So this is kind of a dress-down event.
Vacation.
Yeah, it's a dress-down event. It's a fun event that we're doing. We're going to have a cocktail hour as well involved, for the initial night when we all kick off to kind of get each other. We'll have all the good stuff. And then we have the decals that are going to go with it for the drive for that year that Aaron designed, which are amazing. And it's going to be a great weekend, so we're really excited for everybody to do that. All you have to do is go to pcartalk.com.
Pcar Club, under that, you'll see it. It'll say the annual club drive. Click on it.
Yeah. And like Aaron said earlier, you need to make sure that you become a club member, and then you can go ahead and get the information to do the drive, and then you'll get the password. Yeah. So, and the reason why we do that, we're not trying to be exclusive with that whole thing and exclude people, but the thing is, the logistics of it, we cannot just have randos just show up that when we can't control it. This is the only way we could control the amount of cars that are going to show up, because if we just kind of open it up to everybody, the people that are club members that are buying into the club membership and who want the giveaways and that are getting the t-shirts and the decals that we send everybody and all that kind of stuff, and all the organization that we're doing behind the scenes to make this stuff happen. If you're just a listener, that's great, and we appreciate that. But if you don't want to be a club member, that's okay too. But we just don't want that to take away from the people that do want to become club members and do want to go on the drive.
Exactly.
So we kind of just want to throw that disclaimer out there, because I know there's other people that are just having drives just to have drives, and whoever comes, whatever you want to bring, that's fine. But we're just trying to do it from a standpoint of, hey, there's a certain group of people that want to do this stuff that have a buy-in, because let's be real, like all of these things that Aaron and I are doing that we described earlier, I won't go through not on this podcast, but earlier in the year, what we had our year looking at, they help drive that membership. They help support what we're doing as far as our travel, all of that stuff. Yeah,
because we're doing stuff a lot earlier than we did last year. Like, we're going earlier and we're staying later. We're staying after events. We're doing a lot more.
Yeah.
Really as much as we can with all the weeks. So it's never...
The stuff's not free, guys. It's coming out of our pockets. So like the membership's helping support that. So your membership fee helps support some of this content that's coming to you guys. Mm-hmm. The sponsorship relationships that we're able to have to give you guys free stuff, $500-$600 giveaways.
That's true too. Yeah.
This stuff doesn't just, you don't just spring this up and water it. No, okay, it doesn't cost anybody anything. It costs money, guys. And I'm just saying that to just put that into perspective, where people are like, I can't believe they're making me buy a membership just to go on a drive. Well, you don't have to do it.
Yeah.
Enjoy the content, because that's free. Because, if you're listening, have fun. If you're watching on YouTube, that's free. But guess what? All of that stuff takes time. It takes time for Aaron to edit it. It takes time for us to sit there and meet with these people. It takes hours and hours and stuff that you guys don't see. And it takes time. Let's be real. Like, it is what it is. So and I feel like I just want to throw that disclaimer out there just for people that kind of feel a little itchy about what that whole situation is. I just want to kind of clear the air with that.
Yeah.
Not that anybody said anything about it, but I just kind of want, because we are about trying to get as many people to get together and all that stuff. And fortunately, we do have some ambassadors that are coming up in other areas where there'll be just kind of weekend drives that are happening that you can come and be a part of, and you don't have to be a club member. But if you're interested in becoming a club member, those kind of deals will start. That'll start happening regionally in a couple areas that we've already selected. So look forward to that as well. But this is the big annual drive. This is the big one.
This is the Mecca, I guess.
Yeah, the big one for the membership. So, and again, we have to limit that because from a logistical and safety problem, if we have 1,000 members, we can't have 1,000 cars on the roads. It doesn't work. It's not fun for anybody, and it's not safe.
No, I mean, even though we've only limited to 50 right now, that's still a lot of cars to deal with.
And that's a ton of cars, and we still have to stage them. That we're going to have to stage them in increments to go out because, again, if you've never been on a rally or a group drive together, you cannot send 50 cars out at the same time. Otherwise, it's going to be a big-ass clusterfuck. People are going to be...
Turns into an accordion.
Yeah, accordion effect. Yeah. It's going to be a miserable time for everybody in there, so...
Well, there
has to be some organization behind this stuff.
Well, there's that, and there's planning for restaurants and stuff like that. When you start getting those, that's a big number.
Exactly. You can't accommodate that. That's bullshit. That's not going to happen. Yeah, can I have a table for 150? What? So, anyways, I figure I'd just kind of throw that disclaimer out there. So, help support us, and we would definitely appreciate that. Come on the club drive. We would love to see you in person. Especially all the club members, because everybody's going to be on the drive is going to be a club member. Additionally, you can bring a +1, whether you want to bring a friend or a spouse or whoever. There's options for that as well once you become a club member, right? So enough about that. But we do want to pitch that hard because it is our drive, and we have been grinding a lot to make that happen. There's a lot of calls. There's a lot of organization. There's been a lot of stuff, especially since this is the first time we've done it.
And it's only going to get better from here. This is our first one. I feel like it's structured, but we're going a little loose in because it's the first one.
Yeah, and that doesn't mean that there's not going to be organization, that we don't know what we're doing. We're obviously very task oriented, so it's not an issue with that. It's just kind of one of those things where we're going to definitely always pitch back on the membership of what they want to see, and that's kind of what we're doing as we speak. As far as the giveaways, as far as what we're going to do for events, it's always going to be feedback from you guys as the members, what you guys want.
To drive the drive.
Exactly. Instead of us telling you guys what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But, and again, one more last pitch. We are on YouTube, so please get on there, subscribe.
Hit the notification bell, hit the ding.
Yeah, do all those things, because we don't get that enough from other, like we're friends with other YouTubers, and they definitely tell us that we need to do that more often.
Yeah.
So we're telling you guys through the podcast to get on there, watch our YouTube reviews, watch our videos, all the stuff that's going on.
It also goes on Facebook too.
Exactly.
For videos. So if you're not a YouTube person and you're scrolling Facebook, we're there too.
Yeah, and the big one for us right now, we're getting a lot of views and watches. We're just not getting a lot of people subscribing. Yep. And that's kind of a big deal for us because we still need to get to a certain mark so we can get monetized. So it's a big deal. So we're making that ask to you guys, the Pcar Talk Army out there. And we know you guys, we can see your downloads on the podcast side.
We can
so there's plenty of you guys out there listening. So please transfer over and at least subscribe at a minimum. That would help us out a lot. Without further ado, I think we should go on a break, and then we'll bring on the magic of Hollywood,
Charles, and
bring on our special guest. It may sound a little redundant because we did an intro on that side too. We said, hey, it's Mike and Aaron, but whatever, you get the point. So on to that, and let's take a break, and then let's bring Charles on.
All right.
Thank you guys listening to Pcar Talk so much. We appreciate you guys so much. I can't say that enough. Please go to pcartalk.com and check that out. Also check us out on YouTube. We release videos on Mondays, Thursdays, and Fridays. Help support the channel. Everything we're doing is trying to bring the community closer together. We definitely appreciate that. Also, when you go onto YouTube, if you could subscribe, maybe pass it along, make a comment. We really appreciate that. Again, circling back to pcartalk.com. There is a newsletter created on there. Please put your information in there. That way we can keep you up to date on anything that's coming forward and anything that we're going to be doing moving forward and all the exciting things that are coming out. Now back to the show.
And we're here with Charles Hamm, performance engineer for a 911 car with Porsche Motorsports. Thanks for joining us.
Yep, absolutely.
I know it's race day. I know you guys been spending, a lot of time getting the car ready, a lot of stuff going on. So I know your time is precious. So thank you for spending some time with us. We really appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. Just looking forward to a great debut of this new car.
Absolutely. We're excited about the car. And, let's get into a little bit of, we'll talk about your background as an engineer as well and how you made your way to Porsche and all that. But with the car itself, can you tell us a little bit, what are some distinctive characteristics from last year's Gtlm Porsche to this year's?
This year we've just got a much wider operating window with it. It's less sensitive, so the aero is easier to work with.
Nice.
A little more efficient aero.
Now with the side exit exhaust, does that help with your rear diffuser? Did that change a little bit from obviously last year to this year, or did that not affect that at all?
I'm actually not sure.
Okay.
Some of this stuff is very inside Porsche knowledge.
Okay. Understandable.
Yeah.
The main one benefit of the side exhaust is more torque.
Okay.
So
Nice.
That's nice. Yeah, and I guess maybe even from just, is it even less piping too?
Yeah.
So weight helps a little bit. Yeah. Nice. So your career of engineering, can you tell us a little bit about how did you end up doing what you're doing? Because it's kind of interesting, a journey.
Yeah.
Everybody's kind of curious, from a third-party perspective, when people are, how did you ever get this job? You gotta have a cool job, and you're in racing. It's a dream job. How did this work out?
All the time.
Yeah.
My undergrad was mechanical engineering. It was always with an idea of working on cars, maybe not necessarily race cars. Just I grew up with my dad working on our road cars.
Okay.
And it just kind of went from there. But then after undergrad, that job didn't pan out. You got to make money somehow. So
Yeah, exactly.
I wound up designing HVAC systems, which was not very inspiring
That explains the HVAC.
or anything like that.
What? You weren't passionate about going after HVAC systems?
Right? So,
Just kidding. I know.
So at that point, I decided I needed to make a change and wound up going over to the UK for a master's degree
Okay.
in motorsport engineering.
Oh,
at
nice.
Cranfield University. So that's what kickstarted me into motorsport.
Yeah, that kind of opened the door for you at that point.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's obviously other ways to do that. Cheaper ways to do it for sure.
Yeah. So when you
that's
came
what
in,
worked out for
when
me.
you came in with Porsche and had an opportunity to start working with them, did you come in right away as an engineer, or did you have to work your way up? How did that job progression work out for you, or are you still doing the same thing that you did when you first came in?
So I started out building wiring harnesses.
Okay.
And then very early on after that, wound up getting a call from a guy that was starting this program, and I couldn't turn it down.
Yeah.
It's the paddock's a very small world, and it's just word of mouth most of the time. So that's how I wound up here. With
Oh,
Porsche.
that's awesome. What a fantastic opportunity.
Yeah.
All about who you know.
Yeah.
And I've been doing the same job
Yeah.
since I started here in
Gotcha.
2014.
So let's segue into a little bit of the 24 hours, not necessarily this race, but endurance racing in general. Describe, because there's a lot of people that listen, that they're fortunate enough to watch on TV, then they go to sleep and the race is still on, they have some breakfast, and so the trials and tribulations of the actual team that's doing all the behind the scenes, because the drivers themselves, as we all know, if they choose to, they get some naps between their stints, but the crew is always up for the most part, aren't they?
On the engineering side, we definitely don't sleep. The mechanics will catnap between pit stops, as I'm sure you've seen pictures of.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're just up, and it's a lot of energy management.
Yeah.
It's you have to be constantly on your toes, but you can't do that the whole time.
Yeah, exactly. So, you can't stay hyper vigilant the entire time because you just go insane. Obviously.
Yeah, and especially here, just the nature of the race, it is just surviving for a long time.
And I'm glad you touched on that, because let's talk about that a little bit. And I think a lot of people, even from any type of endurance racing in any team, I guess obviously we know, but people listening that aren't too far into motorsports,
the goal is to survive, right? Like, you don't really want to go nuts out the gate because it's a long race. You don't win in the first hour.
No.
Yeah. I mean, it's cliche.
Yeah.
But yeah, and it's, you know, I wouldn't say we're we're definitely not cruising, but it's just being smart.
Race management.
It's being smart with risks.
Yeah, right. It's race management, right?
Yeah.
Like at that same point.
Especially with traffic, you know, if you lose 10 seconds, then it'll come back to you.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, like Sebring last year, right? Like when you guys, what a nuts race that was.
Yeah,
it's
completely.
like all entire race running down, and then all of a sudden it can happen that fast. But that's why you want to be there at the end, so you can make that move on the last lap if you have to and win it.
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing we pride ourselves on is just always staying on it, even if you're down.
Well,
do what you can. Like
and that's another.
You're never out of it.
Yeah, that's a big thing too. And it's attitude also, right? Like it's a long race, and even if you are a couple laps down, it doesn't matter. Like if you have car trouble or whatever happens, if you keep going after it, you're gonna catch a break. Maybe you don't catch a break, but you don't know if you don't go.
At least you tried at it.
Yeah, I mean, I think these days, if you truly have car trouble, you're out of contention.
Yeah.
But I don't know. There's 4 new cars on
yeah.
in the field today, so
yeah, it should be interesting, right? And as you know, we actually have some decent weather for a change in Daytona.
Yeah, well, talk to me at 5 in the morning.
No, I know. When the fog rolls in and all that.
Foggy, 5 Celsius.
I know. I know.
90% humidity.
I know.
It's cold.
Yeah. But I was telling him it normally rains at some point during the race.
yeah. Looks dry today, which would be a good.
Which
change up from the last couple.
Yeah, may up somebody's speed, some team's speed, and maybe not. Who knows? Depending on their race management goes. But as maybe people are listening that don't know, Daytona can be treacherous. Everybody thinks it's like, oh, it's a sunshine state. It must be just gorgeous. This time of the year here, the weather here is so sketch. It's ridiculous
for sure.
Yeah.
The other day, it was warm yesterday. It's going to be chilly tonight. Last year, it was rainy the whole time. It monsooned.
That monsoon was insane last year.
And then same thing with Sebring. It monsooned at Sebring.
Yeah.
So as far as that goes, and the reason we bring that up, obviously weather's a big factor in what you guys end up having to do. As far as changing tires, race strategy, is there an actual mapped out, okay, if it rains, we're doing X. If it's dry, we're doing X. And then you kind of follow that protocol, or is it more feel?
I mean, as far as the rain, there's pretty much just a crossover lap time of when it gets that slow or fast, you put reins on or you take reins off.
Okay. So is the judgment call really just when to get them on and when to get them off, really?
Yeah, and we have, for these big races, we have a specific weather guy.
Okay.
That we bring in that gives us better advice than, most of the time, better advice than just dark sky or whatever you've got on your phone.
Yeah, it's the weather.com.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, it says it's supposed to be sunny. It's raining, guys.
Yeah, rain starting in 10 minutes. Wait.
Exactly. No, so now from a driver perspective, obviously, the weather and all that stuff can drain a driver too, right? With the rain, if they're just continuously raining, that can wear them down. Is that change strategy maybe from a driver standpoint? You're like, okay, his stint maybe not be as long because it's raining. They're better in the rain. Like,
I mean, we
driver strategy type stuff there.
Potentially, typically in the dry, we'll double stint drivers.
And
if it's
just to get
extra treacherous, we might single stint them.
Yeah, and just like a sports team, right? Like you have each driver, is a good driver, obviously in their own right, but probably one of the 3, or somebody's a better driver in the rain.
Yeah. I mean,
and somebody's better at night.
Yeah.
So
we do have 6 very good drivers. It's hard to separate them.
As far as what in general, when a team is assembled, is that something maybe from when they're scouting the drivers that they want to pick to drive in the cars? Are there attributes where they kind of look for those kind of things? They're like, all right, we kind of need a guy that's really good at night because we've already got these 2 other guys we already picked, or is there any factor? Is it just like, we just want them all to be fast?
Yeah, I mean, that's not a decision that I'm ever
No, I know. I'm
involved
just saying,
in,
like,
but
over, macro level, like,
Yeah.
from what you see.
I think a lot of our pairings are more about two guys that get along and two
Okay.
guys that work in similar styles.
So better
And-
teamwork type stuff.
Yeah. that's
Okay.
cool, yeah.
And that's good to hear, because racing is a lot of teamwork, because, the 912 and the 911, every time, and me being a teammate type of guy, I love it when I go to races and I see them running in tandem together, helping each other down the track. And I was like, that's why Porsche's so successful, is because they're working together. And then you see other teams that are just spread out, for whatever reason, not to get into the details of it, but I see Porsche more often running together, and I'm sure that's on purpose.
Not necessarily. We just
No?
wind up, let's.
It just works out that way.
It just
We're
works
just
out
that
that way
awesome.
that-
We're always number one and number two.
Well, I mean, both cars are getting the most out of it most of the time, and we're making less mistakes. So
Yeah.
we wind up very close.
It's like Ricky Bobby Calhoun Jr. Maybe I can win every once in a while, Ricky. Well, then how would I win? No, but in all seriousness, that's pretty awesome. Now, as far as like day prep and your meetings and all that stuff and the grid walk, and I don't want to, obviously, it's a fan thing, obviously want to get into it. But since this is your profession, Porsche's out here, are there parts of that kind of stuff that kind of take away where you guys are like, it really is a pain for us when like these guys are out here climbing around the cars and the grid walk and all this kind of hoopla and all this kind of stuff that goes into it. Since you're an engineer, you're like, can we just go race?
Yeah, I mean, there's a little bit of it. Why we had to be here at 8:15 this morning, to start the prep for all of that. And so it's not necessarily a pain while it's going on, even though you are always worried about someone messing with your car.
Yeah, right.
But at the same time, like, that's also part of what makes it exciting.
Yeah.
Is seeing all the fans and seeing how much they appreciate it.
Yeah. Now, for being a performance engineer, are you speaking to the drivers at any point, or what's the dynamic of like when the race actually starts? Are you managing the car itself, looking at the data, and then what?
Yeah, so I'm mainly managing the data and giving any feedback to my head engineer, Gary.
Okay.
He's the one on the radio with the drivers.
Okay. Okay.
So yeah, anything I'm giving is giving it to him, and
Okay.
he's choosing what to do with it.
Gotcha. Okay, so you're giving him the information for what the car's giving you, and you're reading it, and there you guys are having that conversation about what you're thinking about the car, and that's feedback going back to the driver and their back and
Potentially,
forth.
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, in a race, obviously, there's less we can do, so kind of it's a lot more just making sure we don't have problems.
Now, from your standpoint, I guess, like, obviously you'd be able to read it from if you see the data coming, so you can see lap after lap as you're comparing the data behind it, if the car's running down on power, or if it's, you can see those things, correct?
Yeah.
From what the car's telling you?
Yeah, and a lot of it's, we can see if we have a damaged splitter or
Okay.
or
Wow.
things like that. So.
You can see that, like, on the, wow, that's interesting.
yeah.
That's really cool. It's like, oh, our arrow's a little messed up here. That kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. And then is that point, like, he makes a call if maybe if the car needs to come in and you guys need to address it, or if not?
Yeah, I mean,
you're
then
gonna
it's a game of how much lap time are we losing,
Yeah.
and is it
worth it?
worth it?
Okay.
So,
Yeah, and then that's a strategy behind it at that point.
Yeah.
That
Like,
makes,
early today, yeah, we'll come in and fix it even if we go down a lap.
yeah,
So.
yeah, makes total sense. No, I mean, it's amazing to just the production that goes into it. It's, you guys have a huge crew, and you guys are always super, super professional, and I just love how you guys are always on the money, ready to rock and roll. And I know it's probably a duck on a pond scenario. You guys look, there's times probably
Come
where
on,
there's
duck.
chaotic stuff
Oh, yeah.
happening underneath
yeah.
the water where the legs are flailing,
Yeah,
but everything looks so, they're like, all right, we're going to be okay. We're going to figure this out. We're going to keep on rocking and
Step
rolling.
by step. Yep.
Yeah. So overall race, obviously this probably goes without being said, but since you're inside, obviously, does this race kind of set the tone for your race year? Or is it just another race on the race list for the year?
I mean, obviously, it does set a little bit of a tone, but it's also worth the same amount of points as Long Beach.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
that's a good call.
Yeah.
You can't get too hung up on it. You can't, obviously last year we had a great start until it rained, and then didn't have the best. We didn't have the result that we probably deserved.
Yeah.
But you can't let any single race bother you too much.
Yeah.
Honestly, you just have to.
Yeah, just take one at a time.
Know what you're doing. And stick to the plan.
Yeah, do the best prep you can do, and then get moving, and whatever the track condition is, try to prepare for that and get moving. So as far as the track, as we talked about the weather, condition-wise, from us being laymen's and keeping it simple, hopefully, is the track in good condition for this race?
Yeah, fairly. I mean, it's probably a little green from the rain. It won't be. It won't be by the end of the race. So
okay.
I think the biggest thing for us overnight will be just exactly how cold it gets and when the track temp starts to warm back up.
Because I don't know the answer to this, and I don't know. Can you, from a race standpoint, is the track itself, track management, are they telling you what the road temps are out there, or is there something that you guys are able to manage that with?
We constantly measure track temps.
Okay. How is that being done, though, I guess? I mean,
there's actually an IR sensor on the car, but most of the time we use just an IR gun.
Oh, okay.
Pit lane.
Okay. Well, that's pretty. Okay. Yeah. All right. Nice. That's pretty awesome. Okay. So, like, when you do have, like, where do you? So you reside in North Carolina, correct? And is that where you live at?
Yes.
Okay.
Charlotte.
Yeah.
Charlotte. Yeah.
So you get your 3 weeks of downtime before you're prepping for the next season, essentially.
Yeah.
Nice. We were just wondering where you called home. So.
Yeah. I grew up in Cary, North Carolina, and spent some time in Indianapolis, and then came back to Charlotte.
Nice. My brother lives in Goldsboro, so
okay.
Nice area. Well, we don't want to take too much more of your time. Do you have anything, Aaron, before we take off? And
I was just kind of wondering, like, I know you said you grew up around cars and stuff. What kind of cars did you grow up around?
No, nothing exciting.
Nothing. Okay. I didn't know if it was Porsche, and then that.
No, nothing exciting. Just
you
just got an
you didn't
appreciation
grow around the cars that only make a left turn since in North Carolina.
No, surprisingly, that's all my family thinks I work in a NASCAR. But,
real good.
Yeah.
Just kidding. If you're a fan out there, it's a form of racing. It's not for everyone, but we get it. But thank you for your time. We really, really appreciate it. And, thank you so much and good luck today. And, we'll be rooting for you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, awesome.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Pcar Talk. Connect with us on Instagram at Pcar Talk or online at pcartalk.com.